Have you ever noticed that the smarter the individual, the dumber the crowd becomes? There's a strange paradox at the heart of human civilization. We celebrate intelligence, yet the moment intelligent minds gather together, something dissolves. Clarity fades into noise, courage turns into compliance, and truth becomes whatever the loudest voice declares it to be. Look around you. In every comment section, every viral outrage, every boardroom and political rally, brilliance is suffocated under the weight of collective stupidity. People stop thinking and start echoing. They stop questioning and start performing. It's not that they've lost their minds. It's that they've traded them for belonging. Why does this happen? Why do the wise go silent when the foolish shout the loudest? Why does individuality vanish the moment the crowd begins to roar? Maybe because deep down, every human being fears exile more than ignorance. And in the age of the algorithm, standing alone feels like death. But what if, just what if, the ones who dare to think differently are not cursed, but chosen? What if the discomfort of isolation is actually the price of consciousness itself? Stay with me till the end of this video, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why collective stupidity always crushes individual intelligence and how to rise above it. If this message already resonates with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I release the next deep dive into the human psyche. Now take a breath, and let's step into the story. It always begins the same way. A short video appears online, 20 seconds, blurry, cropped, torn out of context. A stranger's face fills the frame, confused, frozen mid-sentence. Someone adds a caption, a judgment, a moral label. And within minutes, millions of people you've never met suddenly know exactly who this person is, what they said, what they deserve. The clip spreads like wildfire, faster than truth, faster than thought. Comment sections explode. Thousands of people rush to share it, to condemn, to perform outrage in front of others. Because outrage, in this age, is currency. It buys attention. It buys belonging. You can almost hear the chant of the digital mob rising, a chorus of self-righteous fury echoing through timelines and screens. No one stops to ask if the clip was real, edited, or misunderstood, because asking would slow the rhythm of the ritual, and the ritual must go on. Watch closely. This isn't justice, it's psychological theater. Every share, every retweet, every angry comment is a silent audition, a performance of moral superiority for the faceless crowd. They say they're fighting for the truth, but what they really crave is the applause of others who agree. They mistake moral panic for moral purpose. And the irony? Most of them are intelligent people, teachers, doctors, writers, even psychologists. People who read books on empathy, who post quotes about kindness. But when they gather in the crowd, something ancient awakens, something primal. The same force that once burned witches, stoned heretics, and cheered at public executions. It wears modern clothes now. Hashtags instead of torches, cancellation instead of crucifixion. But the spirit is the same. The individual disappears. What's left is the mob. A shapeless, hungry thing, fueled by emotion and stripped of reason. In the crowd, people don't think, they mimic. They don't question, they echo. They don't seek truth, they seek belonging. And in that belonging, they find a dangerous comfort. You've felt it before, haven't you? That strange pulse that runs through social media, the thrill of being on the right side, the warmth of agreement, the seductive safety of being part of something bigger than yourself. But that warmth comes at a cost. The moment you stop thinking for yourself, you stop being yourself. You become a vessel for the group's emotions, a reflection of the collective unconscious Jung once warned us about. Here's the painful truth. The crowd doesn't need your intelligence. It only needs your participation. It wants your anger, your compliance, your silence, not your awareness. The more you try to belong, the more it takes from you. until there's nothing left but a shape that looks like you, speaking words that aren't yours, believing ideas you never examined. And it doesn't just happen online. It happens in offices where no one questions the boss, in families where tradition is treated as truth, in nations where disagreement is called disloyalty. The collective feeds on conformity, and conformity feels easier than courage. The truly terrifying thing is that collective stupidity always disguises itself as virtue. It never says, "We are blind." It says, "We are righteous." It doesn't march under the banner of ignorance. It marches under the flag of justice, of progress, of compassion. That's why it's so persuasive. That's why intelligent people fall for it. Every century has its witch hunts, its scapegoats, its chosen villains. The names change, the costumes evolve, but the ritual remains. Because the crowd is not interested in truth, it's addicted to emotion. And emotion, when amplified by numbers, becomes the loudest kind of stupidity. So ask yourself, have you ever joined that chorus? Not because you believed in the cause, but because you didn't want to be left out? Because silence felt dangerous? Because you feared being the only one who thought differently? If so, don't hate yourself for it. We all have that weakness. We all crave connection. But a connection without consciousness is slavery. And that's what collective stupidity feeds on, the human need to belong at any cost. The moment we surrender thought for comfort, we stop evolving. And evolution, both spiritual and intellectual, demands loneliness. Before we go deeper into Jung's collective unconscious, Nietzsche's herd mentality, and Huxley's dystopian prophecy, I want you to pause. Think about a time when you saw the crowd lose itself, maybe online, maybe in your own circle. What did it feel like? Did you speak up, or did you stay silent? Share your story in the comments below. I read everyone. And sometimes, one sentence from you reveals more about the truth of human nature than 1,000 theories ever could. Take a breath, because what comes next will show you why we keep repeating this pattern and why most never wake up from it. To understand why collective stupidity always crushes individual intelligence, we must leave the surface and descend into the depths of the human psyche, where instincts, fears, and forgotten patterns rule far more than reason ever did. Carl Jung called this place the collective unconscious. He said that beneath every mind lies an ancient sea of shared symbols, instincts, and archetypes, forces that shape how we think, feel, and act without us even realizing it. When we merge into a group, that sea awakens. The rational self begins to dissolve. You no longer act as you act as the crowd. That's why intelligent people lose their clarity in mobs, why empathy turns into hatred, why reason becomes hysteria. Because in the collective, something primitive takes control, what Jung called the shadow of the mass. It's blind, emotional, hungry for unity. And the easiest way for a crowd to feel united is to destroy someone. The scapegoat becomes the glue. Jung warned, what we do not confront in ourselves will return as fate. When we repress anger, envy, and shame, we unconsciously project them onto others. We see enemies instead of reflections, so the crowd isn't evil, it's a mirror. Every accusation we throw outward hides a truth we fear inwardly. Then came Nietzsche, who looked at the crowd and saw a deeper sickness. He called it the herd mentality. He believed that modern society breeds mediocrity by rewarding obedience and punishing difference. The herd values comfort over courage, approval over authenticity. Its members say, we have invented happiness while living safe, shallow lives. They fear standing out because to be alone is to be exposed. The herd does not think, Nietzsche wrote. It only reacts, and reaction is the death of thought. When intelligence becomes reaction, it stops being intelligence at all. It becomes instinct, wrapped in the illusion of morality. That's why those who dare to think differently are branded as dangerous. Their independence threatens the emotional economy of the herd. But Nietzsche didn't simply condemn. He challenged. He asked, what if you stopped following? What if you created your own values not to rebel, but to become? He called this the path of the Bermensch, the higher human being, the one who dares to think beyond comfort. But that path is lonely, because when you no longer belong to the herd, you no longer belong anywhere. Centuries later, Aldous Huxley saw where this would lead. He imagined a world where control no longer required fear, only pleasure. A society so entertained, so stimulated, that people would surrender willingly. No one would need to ban truth. They'd simply drown it in distraction. People would love their servitude, smiling while they lost their minds. Sound familiar? Our age of scrolling and streaming, outrage and hashtags is precisely what Huxley warned about. Pleasure has become the new prison. Every notification is a drop of dopamine. Every argument, a hit of adrenaline. We think we're choosing, but we're being conditioned. And the more comfortable we become, the less capable we are of real thought. That's the final trap. The collective doesn't silence intelligence through violence anymore. It seduces it through comfort. Why think deeply when entertainment feels better? Why question authority when the algorithm already gives you what you want to hear? Why seek truth when pleasure is easier? Jung would say we've mistaken stimulation for meaning. Nietzsche would call it the triumph of the last man. And Huxley would simply smile and whisper, "Told you so." So here we are, intelligent individuals voluntarily surrendering to the soft hypnosis of the collective. We scroll, we agree, we perform. We've built the perfect prison, one that feels like freedom. The question isn't, why are people so stupid? It's, why do they choose to stay that way? Because awakening means discomfort. And discomfort feels unbearable in a world addicted to ease. But if you've made it this far, maybe a small part of you is done being comfortable. Maybe you've started to feel the weight of your own silence, the ache of living among echoes. If so, you're already ahead of the herd, because awareness, even painful awareness, is the first act of rebellion. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt that pull, that moment when you knew the crowd was wrong, yet you stayed quiet? Share your story in the comments. I'll read them, everyone, because real intelligence begins when we stop shouting and start observing. In the next part, we'll look at the world we live in now, how groupthink, algorithms, and social conformity shape our minds every day without us noticing. Take a breath, because the next truth may be the hardest one to face. Look around you. You don't need philosophy books to witness collective stupidity. You just need Wi-Fi. Every scroll, every outrage, every trending topic is a mirror reflecting the same sickness, the fear of thinking alone. We've entered an age where intelligence hides behind politeness, and cowardice disguises itself as empathy. We call it being respectful, but most of the time, it's fear, the fear of exile. In offices, universities, and online spaces, a quiet pressure hums beneath everything. Agree or disappear. No one needs to threaten you. You silence yourself. You measure every word, every opinion, every breath, afraid that one wrong sentence might end your belonging. This is what psychologists once called groupthink, the death of critical thought through the worship of harmony. But today, it's more subtle. It doesn't silence you with violence. It seduces you with validation. You say what the crowd rewards, and soon, you forget what you actually believe. In companies, employees speak of team culture while whispering what they truly think in private. In politics, leaders trade authenticity for applause. On social media, people become performers of morality, selling outrage to gain approval. The result is a world full of voices, yet almost no truth. Collective stupidity thrives not because people are dumb, but because they are scared. Scared to lose comfort. Scared to lose the illusion of connection. Scared to stand in silence when everyone is shouting. And the irony is that the more we connect, the less we communicate. We're drowning in conversations that mean nothing, opinions that cost nothing, and beliefs that change with the algorithm. The digital age has perfected what ancient rulers could only dream of: control without force. The algorithm doesn't command you. It learns you. It studies what engages you, what excites you, what keeps you scrolling, and it feeds you more of it. Not to inform you, but to shape you. To keep you predictable, reactive, and endlessly entertained. This is not censorship. It's an addiction. And addiction is the most effective form of obedience. Every time you post for approval, every time you measure truth by popularity, every time you repeat what is trending instead of what is true, you surrender a piece of your mind to the collective. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens quietly, one compromise at a time. You see it in classrooms where students learn to repeat rather than reason. In offices where creativity dies under the fear of offending. In friendships where silence feels safer than honesty. We've mistaken social acceptance for wisdom. Artificial intelligence, the symbol of human progress, has only made the mirror sharper. It reflects not our knowledge, but our patterns, our biases, our blind spots, our emotional hunger. AI doesn't think. It mimics. It learns from the crowd. So if the crowd is shallow, the machine becomes shallow too. We built technology to make us smarter, and it ended up teaching us how to think less. The truth is uncomfortable. Collective stupidity no longer needs to be forced upon us. We volunteer for it. We choose convenience over awareness, simplicity over truth, and distraction over depth. We no longer ask, is this true? We ask, will they like it? And so the system thrives. Because it doesn't need to silence your thoughts. It just keeps you busy enough never to think them. This is how intelligence collapses in modern life, not through ignorance, but through overstimulation. The human mind was never built to process 1,000 opinions an hour. And in the noise, individuality becomes a burden. Silence feels like guilt. Reflection feels like rebellion. But here's the paradox. The more predictable you become, the less alive you feel. Deep down, you sense it. That quiet ache behind the endless scrolling. That whisper asking, is this really me? That's not anxiety. That's the soul remembering itself. The collective will tell you to drown that voice. To stay busy, to stay agreeable. To never look too closely at the emptiness inside. But that emptiness is sacred. It's the space where your real thoughts begin. The moment you dare to pause, to stop reacting, to stop echoing, something changes. The noise fades, clarity returns. And in that fragile silence, intelligence breathes again. Now ask yourself, how many times have you chosen comfort over truth? How often have you stayed quiet to belong? That's where the crowd wins, not in the headlines, but inside your hesitation. I want to hear from you. Have you seen this in your world, at work, online, in yourself? Share your experience in the comments. I read everyone. Because the first step toward consciousness is confession. The courage to see the crowd not as them, but as us. What do you do once you see it? Once you realize the crowd ain't just out there, but inside you. You can't unsee it. You can't go back to being asleep. And yet, you can't fight the crowd either. Because the moment you fight it, you feed it. The collective feeds on resistance, on your outrage, on your need to prove, on your fear of being alone. When you argue with the noise, you become part of it. The first step of awakening is withdrawal, not as escape, but as clarity. You stop reacting. You step back to observe instead of participating. When you no longer dance to the rhythm of the mob, you begin to hear a quieter pulse, your own. Carl Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole again. It's when you reclaim the pieces of yourself that the crowd demanded you abandon. The parts that doubted, that questioned, that didn't fit. You stop living to please others and start listening to the truth inside you. It's subtle at first. You speak less, you scroll less. You stop chasing every argument that crosses your screen. And in that silence, something begins to return. Peace. The peace that comes when you're no longer trying to be understood by everyone. Nietzsche once said, "No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. The price is loneliness." When you stop echoing others, people will call you cold or distant. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right, but loneliness is not punishment. It's purification. It strips away the noise, leaving only what's real. Most people never reach this point because they mistake loneliness for emptiness. But when you sit with it long enough, it becomes a doorway to strength, to focus, to freedom. The awakened person doesn't escape the world. They move through it differently. They no longer seek approval. They don't perform for applause. They act from awareness, not reaction. Their silence is not absence, it's presence. And that presence unsettles the unconscious crowd, because calmness reveals chaos. You'll notice this shift. People will start to feel your stillness. You won't need to prove or persuade. You'll simply be. And being, when it's rooted in consciousness, is more revolutionary than any argument. True awakening isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. It just is. It's the quiet certainty of knowing that your thoughts are your own, that your emotions no longer belong to the collective. You've stopped being a product of the crowd. You've become a creator within it. But awakening also brings responsibility. Once you see, you can't pretend you don't. You start to recognize how easily others surrender their minds, how quickly they trade authenticity for acceptance. And instead of judging them, you understand them. You were them once. That's how compassion replaces superiority. You begin to live by a simple principle: in the world, but not of it. You engage, but don't absorb. You observe, but don't identify. You use the noise as contrast to your silence. And from that silence, your influence quietly grows. Because presence, when rooted in truth, speaks louder than opinion ever could. Every time you stay still instead of reacting, every time you choose understanding over judgment, you take back your energy. And that's how freedom starts, not in revolution, but in attention. Awareness is the rebellion the crowd fears most. Yes, you'll lose people. You'll lose comfort. But what you'll gain is far greater: yourself. The ability to think, feel, and act without being ruled by the world's emotional weather. To know that your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. So the next time the noise rises, don't join it. Don't resist it. Just see it. That single act, seeing without reacting, breaks the spell. Because consciousness doesn't fight darkness, it shines. If you've ever felt that quiet pull inside, that whisper saying, "Enough," follow it. It's not arrogance. It's awakening, and I want to hear your story. What moment made you realize you could no longer conform? When did you discover that silence could be strength? Share it in the comments. I read them all, because your awakening, however small, is part of something greater, the evolution of awareness itself. Take a breath. Because in the next part, we'll talk about what happens after awakening, when consciousness becomes solitude, and solitude becomes freedom. The price of being conscious is loneliness, but the reward is freedom. When you finally wake up, the world doesn't clap for you. It goes silent. Friends drift. The noise fades. And you stand there, aware, clear, almost painfully alive, while everyone else keeps dreaming with their eyes open. At first, that silence feels unbearable. You miss the warmth of agreement, the comfort of belonging, the sweet illusion that being part of the crowd meant being safe. But soon, the loneliness changes shape. It stops feeling empty. It begins to feel sacred. Because in that space, something new appears: yourself. Not the image the world rewarded, not the persona that played for applause, but the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are when no one is watching. And once you meet that version of yourself, you can't betray it again. You start to see how noise has ruled your life, how much of your energy went into explaining, proving, performing, and in that realization, you let go. You stop explaining. You stop convincing. You stop chasing. You simply exist, fully, quietly, completely. This is what true intelligence feels like. Not the accumulation of facts, but the presence of awareness. You don't know more than others. You simply see more clearly. You notice how easily people trade freedom for comfort, how they confuse certainty with truth, how they choose distraction over depth. And instead of despising them, you feel compassion, because once you were asleep too. Nietzsche called this state the birth of the free spirit, the one who walks beyond approval, beyond fear. He said that freedom is not granted. It's earned through solitude, through doubt, through the slow and painful act of thinking for yourself. You don't escape the crowd by hating it. You transcend it by understanding it. You realize the crowd isn't the enemy. It's the test. A test of whether your awareness can remain your own amid a million borrowed opinions. That's the true revolution, not to change the world, but to stay conscious within it. Because a conscious person, even one, changes the field around them. Their calmness disrupts hysteria. Their silence ends arguments. Their clarity becomes contagious. You become like a mirror, still, steady, reflecting truth without distortion. And people who are ready will see themselves in that mirror. The rest will look away. Both reactions are part of the same awakening. So when you feel alone for thinking differently, you're not isolated, you're evolving. You've stepped out of the dream, and that's never comfortable. But in that discomfort, you'll find something no crowd can give you: peace. The peace of being no one's echo. The peace of standing still while the world spins in confusion. The peace of knowing that your awareness is yours alone, untouchable, unrepeatable. And when you reach that peace, something beautiful happens. You stop needing to change people. You start inspiring them, not by what you say, but by who you've become. Because the awakened mind doesn't preach, it radiates. That's how the cycle begins to shift, one person, then another, until the collective starts to awaken, not by force, but by resonance. So take this silence with you, protect it. Let it grow inside you like a hidden flame. And the next time you feel alone for thinking differently, remember, it's not loneliness, it's evolution. If this message reached you, if something inside you stirred while listening, let it be known. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next journey inward. And tell me in the comments, which moment in this video resonated most with you? What truth did you see that you can no longer unsee? Because your reflection might just be the one that wakes another.